Hi there, this is Dave and welcome to the top 10 best NES hidden gems. Back in the day, whenever I was a kid, I played all sorts of games on the NES. I definitely preferred JRPGs, but they weren't exactly the most prolific on the system. So here, I'm going to be highlighting some hidden gems from my childhood, as well as some newer ones that I found through the translation and emulation scene. They are not all JRPGs, but they do have that kind of flavor that I enjoy. So let's get started going through and looking back at the library of my very first console. Number 10, Monster Party. Looking at this, you might think that it's like the most basic game ever, and in many ways, it is. It's a relatively early NES game coming out in 1989, but it has a cute story of a baseball player named Mark who uses his bat to hit enemies with. However, that is not the best way to deal with them. Like any good baseball player, you shouldn't just whack enemies with your bat. You should knock their projectiles or balls back at them, dealing tons of damage. Also, Mark's monster buddy Bert comes out to party whenever Mark swallows some drugs, and he can fly and shoot his own magic from his mouth. This looks basic, but it's kind of a non-linear romp through 8 wild, crazy, and just downright weird stages, with its own little action RPG flair. Number 9, Gemfire. Who says that there aren't any strategy RPGs on the NES or SNES? Well, actually, I did, and mea culpa, because this is one that completely slipped my mind. Gemfire was actually released on the NES, SNES, and the Genesis, so the developers obviously had a lot of faith in it, and for good reason, because it's actually pretty sweet. It plays almost similar to the board game Risk, with territories all laid out next to each other, and it's your job to conquer them all, although it normally just kind of ends up with you against one other big house. Anyway, you can make alliances, micromanage to your heart's content, beef up your fortifications, and then fight for world domination using your archers, knights, horsemen, and even monsters in a grid-based fashion. This was American Fire Emblem before we'd even ever heard of that game. Number 8, Samurai Pizza Cats. I remember watching this weird-ass show whenever I was a kid in elementary school. The game, though, was never actually released in America, but I did play through it in high school whenever I went on an NES emulation kick, pretty much downloading all the ROMs that I can get my hands on and then playing them for hours. Back then, it wasn't translated, but nowadays, it is! This is also a late-generation NES game with good graphics, great gameplay, and the cutscenes actually look like the show. Basically, you go through the stages like you would in like a Mega Man game, and you can choose which pizza cat that you want to play through the stages with. I do like easy platformers as well as RPGs, so this is a shoo-in for me. Number 7, The Magic of Shaharzad. This is a really cool time-traveling game, which kind of reminds me of Zelda: A Link to the Past because of the fighting style and the traveling between worlds. The Arabian flair is nice since many RPGs don't really explore it, and there's 2 modes of gameplay. One has overhead battles where you swing your sword and cast your spells, then there's another turn-based mode too. There's side quests to do, 3 different classes to choose from right from the start, and it's just a boatload of fun. Though I will say that the dungeons can be pretty damn mazy at times, so it might be to your advantage to pick up some paper and make a map, or just look up the ones online nowadays. Number 6, Clash at Demonhead. This is a total blast. I bought it at a garage sale from my friend Patrick's house down the road from me, and I loved it ever since. It's a non-linear romp with rockin' music, anime characters, and neat power-ups. The world consists of a number of different routes with hidden gold, shops, shortcuts, and characters to discover. I remember playing this all the time, but never really getting all that far since I didn't have a guide or the internet. It was just me and my smarts, and believe me, at 10 years old, I wasn't all that smart. But I played it simply for the joy of playing, and I always had such a good time with it. I do need to pick this bad boy up one day and really beat it to knock it off that uncompleted games list of mine. Number 5, The Guardian Legend. This was a game that snuck up on me. I remember my brother always liked space shooters like Gradius, Stinger, and Life Force, so he got this one thinking that it was going to be more of the same. But it's kind of like a bait and switch, but in a good way. The gameplay alternates between space shooter levels and overworld exploration stages where you beat enemies for money, buy weapons and items, gain experience in levels, and explore, gather keys, beat bosses, and pretty much just do all the things that you would normally do in an RPG. It's almost like 2 games in one. You alternate between space shooter stages where you're flying from one planet to another, and then whenever you land, you get to explore the planet on foot. I can't believe that this game has never been remade or expanded upon. I only thing that I can think of that's remotely close to it is something like Sigma Star Saga for the DS. Number 4, Just Breed. Here's a true hidden gem since pretty much no one in America has ever heard of it since it wasn't released here. Though it was translated and I played it before even starting the channel, but I loved it so much that I had to do a let's play of it as well. Just Breed is a strategy RPG by Enix released late in the NES's life cycle with beautiful graphics very much akin to Dragon Warrior 4. What makes it so special though is that you don't control single characters. You control entire squads of 6 characters each for a total of 36 characters, and you also get to actually explore towns and talk to characters in between those battles. You can buy full equipment sets for all of your characters rather than just like weapons, and the storyline is very nicely fleshed out. If you're a fan of strategy RPGs, you owe it to yourself to check this one out. Number 3, Gargoyles Quest 2. I cannot say enough good things about this platformer traditional RPG hybrid. I've expressed my love for it over and over again throughout the years, and here I am again, singing its praises. This was the subversive RPG before the likes of Undertale and Disgaea came about. It stars Firebrand, a gargoyle who travels throughout the underworld to towns and dungeons alike to restore the balance of the Ghoul realm. The action takes place in a non-linear side-scrolling stage setup, and here you're going to be finding key items, weapons, and new magics in order to get different attacks or reach new areas. I loved this one as a kid, even though I was notoriously terrible at it. Number 2, Cristalis. When I was a kid, I would constantly scour the pages of Nintendo Power looking for anything that I might like, and I kept reading articles in the magazine about Cristalis, and every time I saw it, I wanted more. Little did I know, though, that the reason why I kept seeing the articles was because of its infamous difficulty. But as an action RPG, before I really knew what that was, I did know that I had to play it. So after my mother pretty much stole the thing from the rental store, I got it. You play as a nameless soldier on a journey to slay God, and to help you have 4 elemental swords which shoot beams and can be powered up with rings and bracelets. The world is ripe for exploration, the music is infectious, and the gameplay is fun as hell. This comes highly recommended. And number 1, Glory of Hercules 2. It seems like a lot of games on this list weren't officially released in America, and then they wonder why RPGs never took off here. None of the good ones came out. This is the second part of the long-running Japan-only series, although some of you may know it because of that horrible DS game released about a decade ago. But don't judge this game based upon that. This is the real deal, and probably the best one in the series. At its core, it's pretty much just a Dragon Warrior 2 knockoff, but it's set in ancient Greece. You get a centaur who's essentially the Prince of Cannock, a living statue who is the Princess of Moonbrook, and then yourself, Hercules, or the Prince of Midenhall, and you're all on a journey to save the world. There is a surprising amount of dialogue and character development for an NES game, and the graphics are pretty damn good. Well, that's it for the best hidden gems on the NES. If you like this video and want to do here on the channel, please consider heading on over to Twitch for some streaming fun, checking out Patreon for exclusive videos and early access to my content, or coming on over to my Discord to chat and hang out. The links to them can be found in the video description. This has been David. If you like this, please like, comment, and subscribe, and have a good day.